Welcome back to RV News, the channel where we break down the latest developments, insider intel, and financial shifts surrounding the Iraqi Dinar, the Vietnamese Dong, and the global revaluation narrative that so many of you are tracking closely. If you've been holding on to your currency notes, staying patient, and watching the signs unfold, then today's update is especially important. We're going to dive deep into the signals, confirmations, and movements in 2025 that may point to life-changing wealth opportunities ahead. This isn't just another rumor or surface-level conversation. This is a look into the real signs you can't afford to ignore if you are waiting for the revaluation of the IQD and VND for years. The concept of a global currency reset has been called everything from a conspiracy theory to a dream that could never happen. And yet, here we are in 2025 with undeniable evidence that the narrative is not only alive but moving into stages of real execution. Those who dismissed the possibility years ago are now quietly watching as world events unfold in ways that line up with what insiders, economists, and researchers in the RV community have been saying for over a decade. The Iraqi dinar has been steadily climbing in confidence, with Iraq strengthening its oil-backed economy, building international partnerships, and reforming its banking system to align with global standards. The Vietnamese Dong has followed a parallel track, with Vietnam's economic reforms, manufacturing growth, and trade deals positioning it as one of Asia's most underestimated but powerful currencies. Let's talk about Iraq first, because the dinar has always been the central focus of the revaluation discussion. In 2025, Iraq's government has taken undeniable steps toward stabilizing its financial infrastructure. New agreements with the IMF, improved compliance with anti-money laundering standards, and digital integration with global banking systems have been confirmed. These are not rumors. They're real, measurable steps that any serious observer can track. Over the past several months, key updates out of Baghdad have pointed to a stronger dinar being required for Iraq to function in global trade. Oil remains Iraq's backbone, but diversification efforts such as foreign investments in infrastructure, agriculture, and technology are beginning to take shape. Analysts have long said that a revalued dinar makes sense once Iraq proves it can handle capital inflows, and we are now at that threshold. Combine this with the fact that Iraq is slowly paying down international debt obligations and restructuring its contracts to allow higher valuations. And it's clear, this isn't wishful thinking anymore. The dinar's path forward is being laid out step by step. At the same time, Vietnam's trajectory with the Dong is equally important. In recent years, Vietnam has become a manufacturing powerhouse, competing directly with China for global contracts in textiles, electronics, and consumer goods. Major corporations have shifted production into Vietnam because of its labor market, efficiency, and favorable trade policies. The United States and other Western nations have embraced Vietnam as a critical trade partner, reducing dependence on China and investing billions into its economy. As Vietnam integrates further into global trade, its undervalued currency becomes more of an obstacle than an advantage. For years, Vietnam deliberately kept its dong undervalued to attract investment, but now global institutions, including the IMF and WTO, have pushed for more realistic exchange rates. The stage is set for a significant revaluation, and when paired with Iraq's reforms, the dong could be the surprise winner for those who've quietly accumulated notes in anticipation of this exact shift. So, what are the signs in 2025 that point to this life-changing wealth becoming more than speculation? The first undeniable sign is the movement inside banks. Multiple credible reports suggest that major U.S. and international banks have updated internal foreign currency platforms to reflect new placeholders for revalued rates. Inside, dismissed in the past, have consistently leaked information about rates showing temporarily behind closed systems, sometimes appearing for hours before being pulled down. In 2025, these occurrences have become more frequent and harder to dismiss as glitches. If you understand how financial systems are prepared for major shifts, you know that banks don't update their systems on a whim. They have to test, prepare, and run scenarios before anything goes live. This is one of the strongest hints that what's coming is already being staged at the highest levels. Another sign that can't be ignored is the increased chatter around redemption centers. These are specialized banking facilities prepared to handle exchanges of currencies like the dinar and dong when the RV officially launches. In recent weeks, sources have confirmed that staff have been trained, security has been increased, and appointments are being quietly scheduled. While skeptics will claim this is just more rumor, the sheer consistency of reports across multiple regions indicates coordination at a level we've not seen before. Why would banks invest in training and logistics for something that supposedly doesn't exist? The only logical explanation is that they are preparing for what insiders have promised all along. On top of this, geopolitical alignments are creating the perfect storm. Iraq has positioned itself as a stabilizing force in the Middle East, with stronger ties to both Western and Eastern powers. Vietnam is part of critical trade networks that the West desperately needs to counterbalance China. Both nations are strategically essential, and raising their currencies to reflect real value benefits the entire global system. The world can no longer afford to operate on manipulated or suppressed values, especially as global digital currency adoption grows. Blockchain-based settlement systems and digital banking reforms demand accurate, transparent values, and the IQD and VND will not be able to function as suppressed currencies much longer. Let's step into the mindset of those holding these currencies. For many, this journey has been filled with doubt, frustration, and long waiting periods. Some have been holding dinar since the early 2000s, when Iraq's reconstruction was first being discussed. Others have picked up Dong as a speculative play in recent years. Hearing about Vietnam's rise as an economic tiger, the emotions attached to these currencies are immense. People imagine paying off debts, buying homes, securing retirements, funding charities, and changing their families' legacies forever. And while skeptics mock these dreams, the signs are pointing toward the possibility that these dreams could become reality sooner than many think. The life-changing wealth being hinted at is not just about personal gain, it's about how this financial reset could ripple across communities and nations, lifting people into positions where they can create generational impact. Consider also the timing. In 2025, the global economy is facing turbulence. Inflation, currency devaluations, and debt crises have put pressure on the old system. The US dollar, while still dominant, is under strain as nations seek alternative reserves. The BRICS alliance has gained momentum, pushing for a more balanced global financial order. Against this backdrop, revaluing suppressed currencies like the dinar and dong fits perfectly into the broader narrative of financial restructuring. It isn't just about Iraq and Vietnam, it's about recalibrating the system to reflect real value and new global power balances. The timing makes sense. The infrastructure is in place, and the whispers inside the financial world are growing louder by the day. Of course, with a potential wealth transfer of this magnitude, caution and wisdom are required. Many people dream about the RV, but don't prepare for the reality of managing sudden wealth. Financial advisors, tax experts, and legal structures will all play a critical role in ensuring that new millionaires and billionaires don't squander their opportunity. One of the signs you can't ignore in 2025 is the increased emphasis by insiders on preparation. Those who are truly in the know keep reminding currency holders to get their plans ready, because when it happens, the window of opportunity may be short, and the need for security and wise decisions will be immediate. This isn't just about getting excited over numbers, it's about positioning yourself for lasting prosperity once the revaluation occurs. Looking back, it's almost unbelievable how far this journey has come. From whispered rumors on forums to actual signs within banks and governments, the RV narrative has matured into something that can't simply be dismissed anymore. Iraq and Vietnam are no longer the unstable nations they once were. They are emerging players in a new global order. And for those holding on to their currencies, the question isn't whether this is real, it's whether they will be ready to act when the signs fully materialize into reality. That's why staying informed, staying patient, and staying prepared is absolutely essential. So, let's bring it all together. The life-changing wealth that could come from the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese Dong RV isn't just fantasy, it's being signaled through reforms, banking updates, geopolitical shifts, and financial restructuring across the globe. The signs in 2025 are stronger than ever before, and ignoring them could mean missing out on one of the greatest wealth transfers in modern history. If you're listening to this today, it means you've already chosen to be ahead of the curve, to stay informed, and to keep watching closely as events unfold.